What do you mean you got me something? You're too sweet. Sure, I can open it now. Hello, my name is Benjamin, but you may call me Jam. And the holidays are many months away, but it's never too early for Exercises in Blue, a Magic the Gathering video series where we ransack every single blue magic card in existence and then make off like a bandit in order to create 99 different versions of the same mono blue commander deck. Now, the idea for this series was stolen from Exercices de Style, a book by Raymond Queneau, in which he takes a tiny little micro story and then retells the same story 99 different ways. But now I'm regifting this idea to you so that you can steal it from me, and the cycle can keep on going. Quick moment of self-awareness. In previous videos, I've occasionally adopted a tone of moral superiority when it comes to blue magic and blue magic cards, which I'm sure clashes with some people's expectations if their experience of blue cards includes a tidal wave of denial magic, remorseless, larcenous greed, and shifty, wicked trickery. To those poor jaded souls, I would like to say, your patience has paid off. Today, we are living up to that reputation. Our first deck is a terribly reactive premise and a terribly risky presumption, but for some people, it is simply too powerful a temptation to resist. Thievery. For many players, the act of removing their cards is already enough of an affront. To go one step further and snatch them from your own uses is an insufferable insult. Historically, this strategy was the most blue-coded behavior imaginable. But these days, card stealing has been popularized by all of the other colors, including colorless. So if they get to do it, why can't I?
You're out on the block hustling at the spot. This is how you get got at the gambling spot and your hand is mad.
Alright, who is our plunder-promoting commander going to be? Is it Kitsune? Is it Keiga? Is it everyone's favorite commander-nabbing Empress? The word favorite, obviously, in italicized air quotes. All good choices, all too obvious. A successful theft incurs less expectation, which is why the most surprising choice will be Vinwixit Verbose Host, a 0/4 homunculus of legend who maxes our hand size and doubles our card draw. Now, before I break down the categories and serve up the catchphrase, a little peek behind the curtain. This is not merely a theft deck, it is in fact an attempt to reconcile the idea of a rogue kindred deck. The concept of rogue kindred would appeal to anyone who's ever enjoyed films that are directed by Steven Soderbergh and also scored by David Holmes. My problem is that we would need to go multicolor to do it. The current extent of Rogue Kindred in Magic the Gathering amounts to around 93 cards. If you take out the Dungeons & Dragons full party mechanic, it still leaves you with 53. The number of cards that are Rogue Kindred, don't care about full party, and are mono blue? 9. So my solution is that rather than build a deck that's Rogue Kindred, we build a deck that's Rogue Roleplay. And it all starts with the aforementioned catchphrase. This is Exercises in Blue, so you know how we do. We got 34 of those, 15 of these, which leaves 50 spots left to play with as we please. An important note on the baby queens, although there are 15 of them, the classic number, only 2/3 of them are one-drop rogue creature type cards, if we include the imitating bird bard and also the siren who moonlights as persuasion. The rest of the baby queens are rare, elite, 2-drop utility queens, whether they're ramping us, drawing us cards, or engaging in other forms of certified skullduggery. What matters is that they've got some kind of evasion when it's time to swing. Also, an important note about the land base, I don't think that we've ever given a proper shout out to modal double-faced cards. These are cards that can be a useful spell, in our case a disruptive interaction, but they can also be a land if we're in a tight spot. Now, ramp is going to be crucial for a deck like this. Ironically, the 5-finger discount spells are commonly quite costly to cast. So everything needs to either be repeatable rampant growths, tap for multiple mana, or something that lets our basic lands tap for multiple mana. The reason that we're using snow-covered islands in this deck is so that we can profit from an extra planar lens without aiding any of our rivals who might be running basic islands. In addition, the Construct couple is back, and now they have made a new friend, an elf who also retreats to Coral Helm. I'm not saying that this is the only elf that I like, but this might be my favorite elf so far. Alright, for our rogue roleplay deck, we've got a crew, we've got funding, so what's the next step? A bajillion aura enchantments and hyper-obvious card-thieving creatures? It's not how theft works. First, we need to case the joint. Before taking our opponent's cards, we need to see our opponent's cards. All of them. There are a handful of spells in mono blue that allow you to search your opponent's entire library. Some of them let you steal a card, some of them let you exile a card. Both abilities are useful, but the primary purpose of this skill is so that we can scan through everything that they have. If you do this, you'll get to see all of their best cards, and you'll know all of their deck's weak points, minus whatever's in their hand or already in play. Did they bring too many mana dorks? Did they forget to include removal? Were they bluffing about having counterspells? Were they lying about the deck's bracket? Look for yourself and see. An important note, this is a time-consuming, boundary-crossing game action to take. The player that you use it on will be immediately tested as to whether they are very chill or very not. And in all fairness, because there's more than one of these cards in the deck, you will want to mention this as a rule 0 before playing this with other people, especially strangers. But, importantly, regardless of whether you're stealing or exiling with these, you are also making yourself wealthy politically. Do the other two players want to know about the cards that you've discovered? Can they make it worth your while? Does the player you've targeted have a secret in their deck that they're trying to keep from the rest of the table? Is that knowledge worth a trade? Hopefully these brutal negotiation tactics aren't too off-putting for you, but to be fair, this is a rogues deck, this is not a civil servants deck. Maybe we'll get a Mamdani's Secret Lair next year. Once we know every single card that all 3 of our opponents are playing, then we'll know the best ones we can steal. Is this where the control magics and the confiscates come in? Not this time, sugar. See, back in the day of Shivan Dragons and Sarah Angels, Spirit Mongers, and Phyrexian Dreadnoughts, a card was worth stealing anytime it was in play, and once you've enchanted it, pretty regularly, you got to keep it. These days, there is an incredible plentitude of ward and hexproof and uncounterability. Numerous instants that protect the entire board for very little or for free. And once something is in play, if we target it, it could just as easily disappear to a sack outlet. Also, sometimes you'll wish you could steal something that isn't a permanent. Sometimes the humble instant or sorcery is not so humble. That's where Theft Spell comes in. In a Theft deck, you might think that only 10 taking cards isn't a lot, and maybe it's not. Let me know. But even multiplayer positive spells like Blatant Thievery or Expropriate, they only work at sorcery speed. While the internet has plenty of opinions about one-for-one cards in Commander games, sometimes your only window of opportunity is on someone else's turn. You need to be ready. What else in this deck? Card draw is pretty affordable. We really just need the mana for all of our flashy, illicit incantations. Sweepers will be as one-sided as possible. These are ill-gotten goods. We are not trying to give them back. Protection, similarly, leans heavily on hexproof and phase-out abilities, rather than anything that fully flickers. Importantly, a couple of our protection pieces will put their targets back on top of their owner's libraries. There are worlds where something that we swat away or memory lapse can then later be bribed, exploited, or acquired. Between all these convoluted calculations, the parallel political deals, and mixing and matching between the 300 different cards that our opponents have brought to the table, we should be able to Frankenstein some kind of a win out of all of that. But if we can't, we call Jeff Goldblum, and Jeff Goldblum goes bleh. Of course, there's more to Magic. There's more to life than just constant, pitiless taking. The material world is commonly held as separate from the spiritual world, but often it's through the material world that a person can make a generous gesture which enriches the spirit. You can give someone a gift in the real world, and it can change their life forever. And you can give someone a gift in Magic the Gathering, which could also make a huge difference by choking their resources, blowing up in their face, or just simply taking them out of the game.
You want a unicorn, I'll give it to you. You want a puppet dog, I'll give it to you. You want an ice cream cone, I'll give it to you.
Welcome to the archetype of bad gifts, where we ruin people's lives with non-consensual philanthropy. This is hot potato times, in parentheses, white elephant plus high stakes to the power of no givesies backsies. Alas, that Mono Blue doesn't have repeatable ways of gifting or trading terrible cards in the command zone. We're not Blim, we're not Stiltskin, we're not Zedru. Would to heaven that we were. We do technically have Bill Fernie, but there are some depths of madness to which not even I will attempt to descend. So instead we will settle for Vinwixit Verbose Host, the dapperest commander for 1/1 blue. Speaking of things that we try to do in almost every one of these decks, this is Exercises in Blue, so you might know how we do. We've got 34 of those. Some of them are very weird this time around, and we've got 13 of these, fewer than usual, but we'll make it work, it'll be fun. Our ramp in this deck is very little, and our card draw is not none, but it's going to be folded into the other cards, so we'll see it as part of the ramp and part of the baby queens, that kind of thing. Our counter magic is going to be predominantly redirection or manaless value. Or both, because if anyone tries to put a stop to our shenanigans, either I'm repurposing their resources or I'm not paying with mine. Hope we're good, because we're moving right along to the Season of Giving. Magic the Gathering has Donate cards, which lets you give control of a permanent to another player, named after the card Donate, which makes target player gain control of target permanent you control. There are very few other cards in Mono Blue that have this exact effect. So, in addition to bad gifts, we will be perpetually perpetrating the next best thing, bad trades. Delightfully, Blue has lots of those. However, most of these cards are one-off effects. Except for Echo Casting Symposium, which is a paradigm lesson. We get to cast a free copy of it every single turn until we die. Or we win. We'll try to make up for the difference with lots of additional copying spells and recursion spells. What we lack in consistency, we might be able to get some extra flex out of our flexibility. But Jam, you might be thinking, or DMing me, or muttering under your breath. What gifts are you giving to people? What does Mono Blue have that is so terrible to possess? Well, if you desire a list of undesirables, I shall present a selection to you. Today's menu includes all of the following categories: creature curbing, hand size shrinkage, land entanglement, life loss, and game loss. Let's go down the line. The Construct and the Golem will shut off the casting of creature spells. It's kind of a big deal these days. The Beasts Who Feast Till Your Thoughts Are the Least, in addition to being an amazing title for a Dr. Seuss book, will limit our opponent's hand sizes. Not actually that game warping, I just kind of liked including that family of cards, or that cycle of cards, in with the deck. One of them is technically a baby queen. So I lied, we actually have 14 baby queens, which is perfectly fine number, wonderful and good. Moving on to the lands, Taniwa will phase out your entire land base. It is still kind of scary as a 7/7 trampler, but what if that player also received Statecraft? Yeah, get viziered, bish. Classic cards to donate back in 1v1 Magic were the Bronze Bombshell for 7 damage, Delusions of Mediocrity for 10 life, and the big whammy, Illusions of Grandeur for 20 life. Now in a 40 life format like Commander, that might not seem like enough. And maybe it's not on its own, but if we're bundling the Bombshell with a Lich's Tomb, then the Bombshell's taking down 7 permanents. Looking like a 4/1 Eldrazi over there. On the other hand, if we're bundling one of those cards with Marina Vendrell's Grimoire, the opponent needs to have 10 cards to discard. or 20 cards to discard. And if they don't, that might just be the ballgame. I mean, you never know, it could be a Vinwixit mirror match. Maybe they do have 20 cards to discard. We'll hash out that scenario later. Some final coup de grace combos include Psychic Vortex, so the player will in fact draw more cards, but they will be -1 land every turn and empty-handed if it's not their turn. Thought Lash, it's a pretty slow mill win condition, but it does put a clock on that player, technically. And finally, Hive Mind, a batshit insane 6-mana enchantment that forces every player to copy every instant and sorcery that anybody plays. This card is S-tier jank, and we are only including it on one condition. Remember those free cost counterspells that I mentioned earlier? Yeah, one of those is Pact of Negation. You knew it was going to be there, unless you didn't know. And now you will. Pact of Negation is just like Counterspell, but you pay 0 instead of 2 blue, and at the top of your next upkeep you need to pay 3 and 2 blue, or you're out of there. If we play this with Hive Mind, the rest of the table will each get their own Pact of Negation, which must be cast. The lose the game trigger only works if their copy of it resolves, so there's going to be a little stack entanglement, but you could knock out a couple of people in one go this way. Of course, 3 colorless, 2 blue, pretty doable for players with access to blue mana. Curtains for players who do not have access to blue mana. You didn't think I was just going to make 99 Labman decks for this channel, did you? Links to both decks will live down in the video description. If you have any suggestions for improving these decks or what themes to do next, I accept all kind comments as the sweet offerings that they are. If you're sick and tired of all this Magic the Gathering stuff, hey, stick around. I write lots of things other than Magic card scripts. I love novels and poems, songs, stage plays, picture books, comic strips, game shows, D&D campaigns. I wasn't planning to go all in on Vinwixit videos, but to paraphrase the Andre 3000 song, it's just the way the wind was blowing. That concludes this installment of Exercises in Blue. You may still call me Jam, and for those of you who are watching and or listening, I thank you for your time and attention. Oh, right. The Vinwixit Mirror Match, aka hitting a Start Your Engines commander with the severe tire damage. Experienced players are no strangers to ganging up on us peaceful-minded card drawers, but if you're facing a conventional Vinwixit deck, these are a few obvious weak points you can look out for. First off, you put a kibosh on the baby queens. 3 combat phases are all that separates Vinwixit Handsome Reliquary Tower from becoming Vinwixit Rhystic Mystic Frantic Skullstorm Man. So, much like you would bolt a bird, you must bolt a baby queen. Secondly, Vinwixit's got to stay in play for any of the profiteering to occur, and our darling little man has no hexproof, no ward, no indestructible, just a decent butt and 0 fists. Any removal or threat of removal will put adequate pressure on the Vinwixit player, or at least slow them down. The last thing you can do, and I can't believe that I'm releasing this terrible knowledge to the world, but you can reduce their speed. There is exactly one card in existence that can do this: Spike Shell Harrier, Magic the Gathering's incredibly cheeky reference to the Mario Kart Blue Shell. When it enters, you bounce an opponent's creature or vehicle, and if they have the highest speed, their speed is reduced by 1. Unless you're running an Aether Drift draft, nobody's going to be using Start Your Engines, except for Vinwixit players. If you are an exception to this statement, please pop off in the comments. I'd love to hear about it. So, a single blue shell will delay the verbose host, and any amount of subsequent flickering or cloning will keep them off track for basically the rest of the game. It is as needlessly hateful as it is hilariously niche. Join us next time where we teach you how to team up with another Vinwixit player and turn your 2-headed dragon into a 2-eyed homunculus.